Hi. I've got a letter from Anya. And Anya asks, I would like to ask you about the Theravada Buddhism perspective on the idea of self. She says, I come from a yoga tradition where there is a great value on the higher consciousness and of the value and the essential divine quality of each individual's true nature. To recognize this in others, as well as in oneself, can really help one to act with compassion for others and also for respect for themselves. When reading about Buddhism, it appears that the concept of anatta, or selflessness, denies this. However, I'm trying to understand this concept in a positive way. In a way, I see the point where the importance of self might just be the workings of the egoic mind, clinging to this life in a different guise. But I'd like to believe that there is something, not necessarily unique, but divine in each person. What does Theravada Buddhism say about this? Thank you for your question, Anya. It's rather a complex question, actually. The concept of anatta, the concept of not self. And in actual fact, the Buddha referred to this kind of thing as a tangle of views, or a thicket of views. And he actually told us that, we shouldn't be clinging to the concept of self or to the concept of not self, because these do just become clingings. So I want to go through a couple of your points here, bit by bit, because it is a good question and I can understand. So first of all, not self. We can get really complicated if we feel like it, and it's not sort of what I like to do. So if we take not self as a means of practice, as a means of letting go of things, this is possibly one of the easiest ways to explain the concept of not self. Take, for instance, right now, I can see in front of me, we've got a festival about to happen tomorrow here at the temple. I can see many things. Now, those things are actually outside of myself. They don't belong to me. They are just happening in the world outside of what we would conventionally call me. Through my eye, which my eye is not me, it's not myself. And eye consciousness arises, contact arises, all these things arise, and so I see things, I'm able to perceive what they are, and then other things can also start to arise. Here I am, I'm trying to give a bit of a Dharma talk, and there's a lot of noise going on around me. Now, again, this is because of the air. The air is not self, nor is the sound that's happening outside self. But we can start to take ownership of things. And so a motorbike might go past with a noisy muffler, and I hear this, and then thoughts arise. I get a bit annoyed. It's like, hey, don't these people know I'm trying to make a Dharma talk here? What ignorant people are they? So now anger arises within me. And all of this, in actual fact, it's not self. It's outside of me. And it's only when I start to take ownership of it, it starts to become self. And I cling to it, or I have an aversion to it. And so if we look at the concept of not self from that point of view, then it becomes quite simple. So you talk here, the divine nature, that's something I really can't get into. I'm not quite sure how to deal with things like divine nature. But you talk about the higher consciousness, and you see the value and essentially the divine quality of each individual's true nature. Well, the same is true in Buddhism. When I understand that, now I'm using the self as in conventional terms here. When I look at my own life, I can see what I've done in the past, many of those things quite negative, and I can see where I am today, and I know the path that I'm on, where the ultimate goal, if you like, is where I would like to reach in the future. And I am fully aware that it is possible. I am fully aware that I am able to do this. And at the same time, when this awareness arises within myself, of course, the awareness arises in regards to all other beings. Not just people, but to the dogs in the temple, to the cats in the temple, to the mosquitoes who like to act as my teachers sometimes. So the concept of understanding the higher consciousness or the divine being, yes, we do understand in the Theravada tradition that all beings have the opportunity at some stage to attain enlightenment, for instance, which is, of course, the goal of Buddhists. And so we do recognize these qualities. And so when you talk about asking questions about compassion, having compassion for people, that's one of the first things, in Buddhism, metta, loving kindness and compassion for all living beings, is very, very important in our practice. And quite often it's the beings that annoy us the most that we have to really push the compassion out to, because it's very, very easy to like somebody that you already like, to have compassion for somebody that you already like. But it's that mosquito that wants to buzz by your ear hole as you're laying down to sleep at night time, who comes and lets you know that, bzz, I'm here, I'm going to get you, We don't slap the mosquito. We have compassion. We understand that that's the nature of a mosquito. The nature of a mosquito is to look for blood. And so we have compassion, and we don't go and splat one in anger. And it's the same with all of these things. Compassion is very, very important. And so the selflessness does not mean that there is no compassion in the Theravada tradition, or I would say in any other Buddhist tradition. We do understand that as I suffer, all beings suffer. As I age, as I get sick, I know that all other beings age, all other beings will get sick, and eventually all other beings will die and once again be caught up in the realms of samsara until such time as they actually attain enlightenment. And so the concept of anatta definitely does allow for us to have compassion. It definitely does allow for us to see the innate good qualities in all of us. I mean, when we think about the mind, you're talking about a higher consciousness. Basically, I think we're pretty much talking about the same thing, just using slightly different language. When you're talking about the higher consciousness, every one of us has a mind that is clear, a mind that is calm, a mind that is tranquil. They're just kind of covered in muck. Muck from this life and muck from past lives. And what we've got to do is we've got to clean all the trash out, throw the trash away, give it a bit of a wipe down, and that clear, tranquil mind is actually there in each and every one of us. And so we do understand that we all have the opportunity. Unfortunately, we also have enough compassion to understand that for some, it's going to take longer for the realization to dawn than it will for others. Some will get it quickly, some will get it less quickly. It's kind of like learning mathematics or something like that. I mean, you do yoga, I don't think I'd be able to, I'm not very bendy at all, so you would obviously progress quite fast in your yoga practice, and I definitely would not. It doesn't mean that I can't. It just means it's going to take me a little bit longer. So, what else have we got here? So yeah, so basically to sum it up, the concept of not self, we understand that, pain arises due to conditioned phenomena. It's not self. If it was self, then, like we say, if this body was self, then I'd be able to prevent pain from arising. I can't. Due to conditioned phenomenon, pain arises. Now, also due to the ceasing of that particular phenomenon, the pain can also go away. I hear things, I smell things, I taste things, I touch things, I see things, and I think things. These are all conditioned phenomena. And this is the not-self that we're discussing. The things from outside that we either allow to affect us or we don't allow to affect us. Now, the important thing to remember here is, although it's sometimes a criticism of the Theravada tradition I often hear, is that all the monks, excuse me, all the monks are interested in doing is attaining their own enlightenment, and they actually don't care about anybody else. Well, that's in actual fact not true. However, we need to improve ourselves before we can be of much assistance to anybody else. If we've got a mind that's easily distressed, then we tend not to be of much good to other people. And so here in the temple here, for instance, we do a lot of meditation practice. We start to understand that these things will happen. Whether I'm enlightened or not, good things will happen, bad things will happen. There will be disasters, and cherry blossoms will continue to bloom. The difference is how I deal with the situation. But we all know the Buddha himself, the perfectly enlightened one, the self-awakened one, he had a lot of compassion, he could have rediscovered the Dhamma and then gone and sat in the forest and just enjoyed it. But out of compassion for sentient beings, he taught the Dhamma. And this is what we do here as well. So, not self, it doesn't mean that there's no compassion. Yeah, we certainly can recognize, and hopefully do recognize, the goodness in each and every other person around us. We understand, as I suffer, they suffer. As I wish to be happy, they also wish to be happy. And through the Dhamma, we have the opportunity to explain the cause of happiness. We can help to show people the path to help them to get out of the suffering that they're in. So, Anya, I hope that's answered your question. Thank you very much. It was quite a complex little question, and I've really enjoyed giving this little talk to you today. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.